Paul Rader was greatly used of God to preach the gospel and lead many people to Christ throughout America in the first half of the 20th century. He had a great impact as a pastor, an evangelist, and a pioneer in Christian radio. Though he was born into the home of godly Christian parents, he didn't get serious about serving the Lord until he was in his early 30s. And he died of prostate cancer just before his 59th birthday. So his ministry only lasted about 26 years. But for those 26 years, he put all of his energy into the cause of Christ. Daniel Paul Rader was born in Denver, Colorado on August 24, 1879. His parents, Daniel and Laura Rader, were Methodist missionaries to Cheyenne, Wyoming. The couple had 10 children, 4 daughters and 6 sons. Paul got saved when he was 9 years old, and he had a vivid memory of his salvation. Listen to his description of the day he got saved. Written very clearly upon my mind is the memory of the night I was converted when a boy of 9 years. My father was then a Methodist missionary in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and a real revival was in progress. I remember that a few soldiers from the nearby fort were at the altar and more grown folks, but no other children. Being the preacher's boy and still young, none thought I needed to be talked to. And the service was nearly over before a dear man, Brother Corey, came and found me. He asked me some questions, but I found no peace. I remember that the cloth was worn off of the top button on his vest, and I said to myself, God sees what I have done as plainly as I see the uncovered metal of that button. I arose when the rest did and with a sad heart went home. My father had been watching me, and when I got to my room and was on my knees beside my bed, he came in. Oh, the joy of confession, and the simple way in which Father showed me that my sin was covered, forgiven, and forgotten. The joy and peace that came to my young heart as I believed became my yardstick by which I was to measure God. He was thereafter my own Jesus, the author of peace. God was very real to young Paul Rader, and he enjoyed the opportunities he had to serve the Lord and to preach in his youth. He went off to college when he was 18. And it was in college that Paul's faith was shaken when one of his professors sarcastically told him that he was ignorant for believing the Bible. Those words cut deep into Paul's heart and led him into a prolonged period of bitterness and darkness. He said, I struggled to keep my faith, but faith fainted and grew sick. From that first day of doubt, a wobble appeared in my nature. I did not have the old-time armor against sin. The devil could shoot from many angles now and find a hole. I had a double mind, and, true to Scripture, became unstable in all my ways. When faith wobbles, failure is inevitable. Paul graduated and was even ordained to preach by the Congregational Church and became a pastor in Boston when he was 25. But he hadn't fully recovered from the doubts and skepticism that had invaded his mind. Paul married when he was 27, and soon he took a pastorate in Portland, Oregon. Paul and his wife Mary had 2 children born while in Portland, a son and a daughter. But after just 2 years there, Paul's weakened faith drove him to resign the church. He quit the ministry and went into business. And for the next 3 years, Paul Rader struggled to find the God of his youth. Paul was in New York City one day when he was in his early 30s. As he walked down the street, conviction suddenly filled his heart. He went immediately to his room. He spent the next 3 days and nights seeking the Lord, confessing his sins, pleading with God to forgive him and to create within him a clean heart. When Paul Rader emerged from that place of wrestling with God, he was a renewed, Spirit-filled servant of Jesus, ready to do God's will. For the next 3 years, he served as an assistant pastor in Pittsburgh and helped an evangelist in several campaigns across America. Then, on February 3, 1915, Paul Rader became the pastor of Moody Church in Chicago, where he served for the next 6 years. During that time, he was also holding evangelistic campaigns in cities from New York to Los Angeles. In 1922, Paul Rader held a crusade in Chicago. The meetings were such a great success that at the close of the crusade, they established the Chicago Gospel Tabernacle, and they built a permanent 5,000-seat auditorium at the intersection of Halsted, Clark, and Berry Avenue, just a few blocks from Wrigley Field. That church would have a huge impact on the people of Chicago in the years that followed. That same year, Paul Rader was invited to preach on the radio each Sunday. At that time, there had been no religious broadcasting of any kind on the radio. And because radio was so new, many people considered it to be evil. But Paul Rader decided to pioneer in a ministry that has been and is being greatly used of God around the world. Paul Rader died in Los Angeles on July 19, 1938, at 58 years of age. His funeral service, 3 days later, was attended by over 2,500 people. He's buried at the Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Glendale, California. Christian, earnestly seek the Lord for yourself to find out what He has for you to do for Him. Stay the course.